Hey guys, welcome back to Pop Culture with Pat. Today we are talking about the concluding chapter to the X Trilogy, MaXXXine.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Directed by Ty West, MaXXXine is the concluding chapter in the X Trilogy. In 1980s Hollywood, adult film star and aspiring actress Maxine Minx finally gets her big break. However, as a mysterious killer stalks the starlets of Los Angeles, a trail of blood threatens to reveal her sinister past. X and Pearl are some of my favorite horror films in the last decade, so it was no surprise that MaXXXine was on my most anticipated films of 2024. So the film opens up after a flashback scene. We see Maxine. She's auditioning for a new horror film called The Puritan 2. It's the 80s, and Maxine is trying to put what happened to her in X behind her and then take the next step in her career and transition from adult films to Hollywood, but someone is trying to mess that all up for her. One of my favorite things about the film is that I love the 80s aesthetic that Ty West was able to capture with MaXXXine. Everything from the sets, just the way that the film is shot overall, the video stores, the outfits, the amazing soundtrack that we have here. This definitely feels like a movie that you would have picked up back in the day at the video store. And it really felt like that you were in the 80s. So that was probably, again, one of my favorite elements of the film overall. And something else that I really appreciate with this trilogy is that I love how, even though all these films are obviously connected, each one of these films feels different. So with X and Pearl, those were definitely more in the horror genre. This time around with MaXXXine, this film I would say goes a little bit more into like the thriller genre. There's like a cop murder mystery going on here, but you do have some horror elements kind of sprinkled in there, but it's definitely more thriller than horror. So I can see for some people, if big horror fans might not maybe like that as much. For me, that didn't really bother me, but just a heads up, going into this movie, knowing what to expect. But I really appreciate that all three of the films are distinct, from each other, at least in my opinion. And this film's got a couple different things going on here. So it takes place during the time when the Night Stalker killings were going on, so you kind of have that going on in the background. You also have this horror film that's being made, a movie within a movie. And then you have someone who's trying to expose, what happened to MaXXXine with the help from Kevin Bacon's character, and we'll get more into him in a little bit. But I thought as far as all of those elements going on, I thought that Ty West did a pretty good job of balancing all those. It's by no means this is perfect, but I think he did a pretty good job of, managing those different elements here in the movie. And I especially love the film being made within a film aspect. I am a sucker whenever films do that. That's something that I always dig. So I thought that was really cool here. We get to see like sculpts being made. If you guys saw the trailer, this is in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler, but we get to see the Bates Motel set. I thought that was really cool. Easter egg as a horror fan. So just kind of getting to see that behind the scenes stuff within another movie. I'm a nerd for that kind of stuff, so I really dug that. And as far as performances go, Mia Goth delivers once again as this character. There's a scene that's early on where she's auditioning for The Puritan 2 that I really enjoyed, but I also appreciated that MaXXXine shows us pretty quickly in this film that she is not someone that you fuck with. Kevin Bacon's character follows her. He puts a lot of pressure on her, but MaXXXine, she has no trouble confronting him on several occasions, and you really root for her in these specific instances. And MaXXXine, the film overall, brings a fitting conclusion if this is the end for this character as well, which I really appreciated, because sometimes when you have trilogies, you're always worried if they're able to, to land the ending. I don't know if necessarily if everybody will feel that way, but I thought it was a logical ending for this character overall. And I also really liked Elizabeth Debicki's character. I don't know if I'm saying her last name right, so if not, my bad on that. But I really liked her character as well. She is the director of the Puritan 2 film that they're working on in the movie. And I just like the relationship between her and MaXXXine. I felt like, if we did get another film after this, I'd like to see more of those characters kind of working together, because I feel like they would make a really good team. And then you have Kevin Bacon's character, who I was talking about, just a few minutes ago, that he plays this sleazy private investigator who follows MaXXXine around during the film. And you can just tell that he had a lot of fun, I think, with this role, because he was just really chewing the scenery here as this character. So even though he was, following MaXXXine around, I really enjoyed his performance as character in the film. But I honestly liked everyone here, though. Giancarlo Esposito, he plays Mia Goth's agent in the film. Then you have Lily Collins, you have Moses Sumney, you have Charlie Rowan McCain, who plays the young version of Maxine in the beginning of the movie. And if you guys are interested, I actually have an interview with her that I'll put at the end of this video, and Chloe Farnsworth. And it was just a really nice cast and group of characters put together for this film. I thought everyone had a nice little role to play here. And I will say, just as far as like one of my negatives for the film, as far as the reveal of who the killer is in this movie, I will just say that it was a little predictable. My buddy actually predicted it, early on in the movie of who it was going to be, and sure enough, it ended up being that character. So that would say like one of my, negatives about it. And then just maybe like a couple things like scenes like here and there, like pacing wise. But it wasn't anything that like completely, took me out of the movie. But overall, I'm not sure where I would rank this film in the trilogy quite yet. It's definitely something I want to watch again and then just kind of like sit on a little bit more to kind of get that final, ranking of these three films for me. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that I thought it was a fitting conclusion to this trilogy, a logical conclusion as well. So as far as the score goes, I'm going to give this an 8.3 out of 10. Definitely something I'm going to be adding to my collection once it comes out. I'll be curious to see once they do release this, if they're going to do like a box set for these three films with A24. If they do that, it will kind of annoy me a little bit because I already have the other two on Blu-ray. But that always seems to happen. What the hell? They want to get you guys, double dipping. But yeah, so it's definitely something that I'll be picking up. I'm curious for you guys. I'm definitely interested to hear people's thoughts on this one specifically, because I feel this could be kind of divisive, especially if you were kind of hoping more for horror. This is more of like has more thriller elements with a little bit of horror elements sprinkled in there. So I'm curious, what are your thoughts if you have seen the film? Where would you rank it in the X trilogy? Let me know down below in the comments. If you guys are new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button as well as the bell button next to it. That way you get notifications for all my new videos. Give this video a thumbs up. And as always, guys, please make sure to check back for more Pop Culture with Pat.